Hello, this is Dr. Val Hill Jackson, and it's my pleasure to share some information about our Service Learning Project. This is a joint initiative of the EDFN 5312 Sociocultural Issues in Education course and the Term Education Residency Model Project. I am sharing this presentation on behalf of Dr. Keisha Henry and myself, again, Dr. Val Hill Jackson. So here is our agenda. What is service learning? Learning outcomes, essential elements of service learning. Then we'll have a brief discussion on the 4 benefits of service learning, 3 parts of the service learning project, and then how students will be evaluated. So what is service learning? Well, it's important to note that service learning is not service, and service learning is not volunteering. Service learning is connected to courses, so therefore it is academically based, infused with authentic service as well as critical reflection. Please take the time to click on the 1.5-minute video to learn more. Now we move on to a definition of service learning, and according to Vanderbilt University, service learning is defined as a form of experiential education where learning occurs through a cycle of action and reflection as students seek to achieve real objectives for the community and deeper understanding and skills for themselves. Wikipedia explains that service learning is an educational approach that combines learning objectives with community service in order to provide a pragmatic, progressive learning experience while meeting societal needs. As we stated earlier, service learning projects are tied to courses. They are academically based, so therefore they're always connected to learning outcomes. And we'd like to share with you 4 learning outcomes that connect to our project. So first of all, we want all of you to be able to walk away from this experience being able to demonstrate knowledge of and sensitivity to diverse cultural groups within the United States and globally, while attaining knowledge of how race, ethnicity, class, gender, and other socio-cultural factors influence students' learning and classroom climate. We want you to be able to demonstrate an understanding of the influence of the social, cultural, historical, legal, and cultural context of schooling on teaching, learning, schools, and educational policy. And we need you to be able to examine your teaching and lived experiences relating to culturally relevant and responsive curriculum and instruction in an effort to create and maintain significant contributions to an ever-changing pluralistic educational system and society. And then lastly, as we look at the Texas Educator Standards, standard number 1 stands out because it relates to instructional planning and delivery. Therefore, we want you to be able to plan and deliver standards-based, data-driven, differentiated instruction that engages students, makes appropriate use of technology, and makes learning relevant for today's learners. It is important to understand the essential elements of service learning. Please be aware that service learning is a teaching strategy that integrates course content with relevant community service. It has an academic focus with a minimum of 10 hours, but up to 25 hours of real community engagement. Now, this engagement must be of value to the community, as evidenced by collaboration with the community itself. And the last essential element of service learning is that it should offer structured opportunities for guided reflection. Now, there are 4 benefits of service learning. We should understand that it is considered a high impact practice for college students. Now, folks who study sort of great experiences for the college student, they've done their homework and they've identified up to about 9 practices that are considered high impact for college learner success. And service learning is one of them. Another benefit is that we know that service learning has a positive effect on students because one walks away with a sense of fulfillment. It increases civic and political engagement as well, that sense of civic responsibility, understanding a little bit more about how communities work. That's real essential for tomorrow's leaders and workers. And we also understand that service learning can help prepare students for the job market because it gives that real world opportunity to engage with the community. And so whether one is going to be in political science or in engineering or a future teacher, these experiences help make us more job ready. Now, as we think about the service learning project, we must understand that it will be broken up into sort of 3 parts. There is this service part 1, which includes all the students in Dr. Henry's course, as well as all of the term students, regardless if they're in Dr. Henry's course or not. Now, the second part of the service project is for the term residents only. Those in the course, those not in the course, these are for the term students. And so they will be able to participate in an international experience, and we'll talk more about that in a second. And then the third part of the service learning project is the critical reflection piece. So all of the students in Dr. Henry's class, as well as all of our term residents, will complete part 3. Now, let's talk about each part of our service learning project one at a time. Now, for part 1, this service project is a book drive. Now, why are we doing this? Well, local schools in and around Cancun contacted our partners, and they basically shared that their schools need books and supplies. So this project is of value to the community. So that's why we're doing it, not because we want it, but because the community says that they need it. So each of the students and residents in our project, service learning project, will collect a minimum of 10 books focused on pre-K through grade 8 learners, no specific genre, and we request that a minimum of the 2 books are written in Spanish, if you can find those. We know that they're often hard to obtain. Also, you may want to consider, maybe you can't get 10 books, but if you supplement it, sort of your submission with school supplies, that's helpful as well. So it's books and or school supplies. Now, Dr. Henry will identify a drop-off location for us at Prairie View, so stay tuned for the details. The next component of part 1 is a lecture. So great news, Dr. Henry and myself, we're going to identify an expert on the history of Mexico and Mexican American heritage, and that person, that scholar, will share in a presentation with all of you. Our goal is to identify an opportunity on our schedules where we all can be a part of that conversation, but if not, we're going to make sure also that the lecture is recorded. And then the third component of part 1 is for each of you to attend one public event among Mexican Americans, and you can identify a religious event, a cultural event, go to a museum or cultural center. Maybe there's an event at your school that you can participate in, or you can volunteer for a program that primarily serves Mexican Americans. So the opportunities are limitless. Now, it's important. Now, here's something we really want to underscore, that you must document this public event, and you can do so by video or photograph. Part 2 of the service project is where the students who are term students will travel to the International Conference on Urban Education in Cancun, Mexico during November 1st through 5th. And this is the time where we deliver the books to the school. This is going to be really exciting. So we'll have an opportunity to see the school, to see the children, the educators, and perhaps even have an opportunity to read to the young ones as well. So that's going to be very, very exciting. And then the third part of your service learning project is a 3-page cultural reflection paper. Now, we will develop a 1-page set of instructions, so stay tuned for that. Dr. Henry and myself will ensure that you get those instructions. But keep in mind as you think about this project that it will require just one and a half spaces for this paper. You must connect with a minimum of 2 learning outcomes. Your paper must also connect to some required readings in the course, right? There will be 4 required readings that we make available to all of you, and then you all get to select 1 reading on your own. And keep in mind, all of the in-text citations and references must be APA. So stay tuned for more instructions on the paper, as well as access to the rubric this is the rubric that Dr. Henry and myself will use to evaluate your 3-page cultural reflection paper. Now, again, just to recap, there are 3 parts of the service learning project. Part 1 is for everyone. That is the collection of the books with our book drive, collection of those school materials. Everyone is involved. Part 2 is the travel portion of our service learning project. We are going to Cancun, Mexico to deliver our materials and books to the learners and the schools. And then part 3 is the reflection, and that's for all students. So part 1, that's for everyone, students and residents. Part 2, term residents only, that's the international travel portion. And then part 3 is the reflection portion. Now, just to summarize for everyone, these are the deliverables or the items that you must complete. So if you are in Dr. Henry's EDFN 5312 course and you are not a term student, you will complete items 1 through 5. If you are a term student, you will complete items 1 through 6. So item 1 is to attend a lecture that Dr. Henry and I arrange. Number 2, you must attend a public event among our Mexican American brothers and sisters and document that experience. Number 3, compile a minimum of 10 children's books, 2 in Spanish, and collect classroom supplies for early childhood through grade 8 learners. Any genre of the books is fine. Number 4, complete a 3-page cultural reflection paper. Number 5, everyone will complete a pre and post global inventory survey. The pre-survey is to be completed by September 30th. The post-survey is to be completed in early December. That survey link will be made available to everyone. And don't worry, my colleagues, it just takes about 8 to 10 minutes to complete. And then number 6, in addition, term residents will give a 5-minute oral presentation at the December holiday event on a term Friday. Perhaps it's going to be like a 1 PowerPoint slide that's just sort of demonstrates, your learning. You get to be as creative as you like. So that's it, my friends and colleagues. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, please contact Dr. Henry or myself, and all of the materials, rubrics, instructions will be made available online. Thank you for your time, and be well.